is write customers at the top of your list. Write customers. I teach like you in the second and third grade. Make sense? So everybody gets it. Write customers at the top of the list. Got it? Now what I want you to do, let me know when you're finished. Everybody got that? Now I need you to number your paper from 1 to 10 or 1 to 20. Yeah, 1 to 20. Let's do 1 to 20. And then let me know when that's done. It's called keeping it simple.
Yes.
Better believe it. That means everybody can do it. If you have a degree, don't have a degree, didn't go to college, went to college, make a lot of money, don't make a lot of money, you'll still be able to do what I'm going to coach you to do. Fair enough?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. And just say when you're ready. Everybody, 20? Okay. Isn't this fun? Now what you're going to need to do, I want you to write down the 10 people that will do you a favor just because they love you. So that could be 10 people that love you, that will do whatever you ask them to do, and 10 people that owe you. It doesn't have to be money, but they may owe you for maybe babysitting your children or doing their hair for free or whatever the case is. You want to write down the 10 easiest people that will help you out if you were in trouble. So I'm giving you all these things so you can start thinking. And I need you to write it down now. Their name, and you should have their number. You want to write down 10 people who love you, 10 people who will do anything for you, 10 people that owe you, 10 people that would never do the business, but they love you and will try anything you ask them to do. You guys with me? So you will have had to have served at least 10 to 20 people in your life, right? That love you, correct? You got more than 20 people that love you, right? Okay, I would hope so. If you can't do 20, stop at 15, but at least get as close to 20 as you possibly can. This is going to make your journey in acquiring customers a lot simpler because now you'll have a list of people who you can call and acquire the customers from. So we'll give you some time for that.
They have to be 18. Yes.
Yes, they do because, yeah, those are the people that really pay bills. I mean, we may have some nurses that pay bills.
Yeah.
But it could be in their mama's name, your brother's name, sisters, uncles, aunties for my younger cast, your uncles, your aunties, your dad, your mom, because they love you, because they help you. For my older cast or my mature cast, you know, people that you've helped out on several times, you could have loaned them some money. You know, you could have went and picked them up, gave them a ride to the airport, help them move. And the one who gets the first 20 gets $100 bill. Just kidding. You already done? So how many people are actually complete just by show of hands? Okay, we got a few more. And how many people, how many do you, who has more than 10? Does everybody have at least more than 10 people on their list?
Yes.
More than 10? Okay. You did your 10. More than 10? Quick and fast. Okay, you got it.
I've done this once or twice.
Okay, it makes you think. This is called critical thinking. You know, because now you got to think, well, who's doing my help and who loves me and who would do something for me just because I asked them to do something based on how I served in their life. Make sense? So these, you guys at least have more than 10. So let's go ahead and move forward. So that's one. Now, some of you guys write big, so flip it over on the other page. Or yeah, flip it over. Now write Y. Just the number, the WHY. And here's where the language comes in. You want to know why you're doing the business. And I say that because the why is going to be the driving force when you're asking people to acquire customers. So you need to know why you're doing the business. I know most people, why is usually to get money out of the way or pay this or pay that, but write down your why really quick. What would be your why in doing the business? Because that goes hand in hand with customers. It also goes hand in hand with why you're truly going to stay in the business and make something phenomenal happen for yourself and make something manifest for yourself. So if you write the why down, that goes hand in hand with the customer acquisition language. That's why. It can be brief, it can be to the point. So now we have who we're gonna call to be our customers, right? And now you have your why, which is what you're gonna attach to that when you call your customers. Fair enough? Is everybody with me? I don't wanna leave anyone, so I'll keep repeating. You got your why, like why you do the business. Later on, you're gonna have to think a little bit more and it'll be deeper, but right now, just put your basic why of what that may be. And some of you guys write small, big, or large, so whatever your why is. And then I'll have one more piece, and it'll just be the language, and then Mr. Nelson will come up, and then this will hold you guys until the next event. So just put down language. So you have your 1 through 10, you have your I love yous, your IOUs, you have your why you would join the business, and I'll just do customer language really quick and bring up Mr. Nelson, and we'll go from there. Fair enough? Fair enough. Now, if you're recording this, it will be better. But I'll go ahead and say it, and you can write it down if you choose to. So we'll talk about our why later. Your why is okay. The language we'll get before the night is over. Mr. Nelson is here. So my piece is over, just to make sure you guys are having something and knowing who you're going to contact and who you're going to call to be your customers, and knowing that why is going to be attached, okay? And we'll cover just that. Thank you.
Ms. Chisholm, let me know when you have those ready. Yeah, if you're brand new, raise your hand so we can get a launch pack in your hand. How long do you want me to have their hands up? So how long do they need to have their hands up? Okay. I was like, this is a test, right?
No, I don't have it. I'll get you in a minute. Okay. I'll tell you to put your hands up again so they get some more. Fair enough?
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. I need 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, 12, 13. We'll have enough. So only for the brand new people. So you have to be brand new. Okay. While they're doing that, and they'll get them out here, and I'll make sure everybody gets one. How's everybody doing? Everybody good?
Great.
Great. I like that. So I say good, you say great. How's everybody doing? Good?
Great.
Excellent. So there's a book called Good is the Enemy of Great. You want to write that down. And when she starts talking about language, one of the things, I'm going to give you a little bit more than I normally would. It's really, to be able to succeed in anything, really comes down to attitude. So you want to write down attitude is everything. That's the number one thing. I'll ask that a lot of times. What will actually change your income will change your attitude. Attitude will change your altitude. Attitude will change how you deal with problems. Attitude will change how you deal with people. Attitude will change how you deal with everything that confronts you in life. Predicated on just how, when you decide to start a new business, it's easy to say I'm in a new business, but as soon as you start talking to people, they're going to have a lot of conversation. And you'll find that the brokest people have the most amount of opinions. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes, sir.
And when I say broke, I want you guys to understand I'm not talking about financially broke. There's a lot of ways of being broke. You can be mentally broke, emotionally broke, spiritually broke, financially broke, physically broke. There's a lot of brokenness going on in the world. And so when a person says, I don't have money or the $500, you can give them $500, but it's not the $500 that's going to fix the problem. It really comes down to the way a person thinks. Does that make sense to everybody? Because it's almost like throwing money into a fire. The reason why they don't have $500 is not because of the lack of money that's in their life, but the way they think that has got them to that state in the first place. So if they don't change their thinking, by the time you give them another $500, they're going to be in the same state all over again because they're going to just lose it. Is that making sense? You guys following that so far?
Yeah.
And so it's really your attitude when you wake up and you start your day, how you actually approach your day, how you approach sharing the opportunity with people. It's really your posture, and you want to write down posture. Because nobody likes following somebody that's weak. I mean, you don't. You don't even like being in a relationship with somebody that's weak. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Right? So everything about your posture, about the decisions, about what what Queen Sika was talking about in regards to making a decision. I like to break down every segment of the business when a person first gets started. So I'm talking to you as if I'm sitting down with you one-on-one, so you understand. And also you can write down how I teach. Because everything that I do and everything that you will do is all about duplication. By the way, what I do is not mine. It's something I stole from somebody else. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Because if you go back in time, you're talking about a guy named Lou Alcindor, whose name ended up being Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who got it from Bill Russell, who then took that and it just keep manifesting itself. You could look at Michael Jordan, and then that turned into Kobe. I mean, if you look at Kobe and Jordan's game, they're identical, off by maybe 5%. Then you take somebody like LeBron, that's just another game. Success, all that is duplicated. Is everybody with me on that so far? If you go to a McDonald's, the M is, I mean, if you go and let's say you want to buy a McDonald's franchise, and you take that M, and you say, you know what, I just want to change the McDonald's a little bit. I'm going to flip the M and make it a W. That's no longer a McDonald's. That's called Whack-Donald's. Are y'all with me so far? Okay. Well, I want to change the color. I don't want golden arches anymore. I want orange arches. It's no longer McDonald's. It's now Orange Donald's. Is everybody with me on that? So you got to figure out that the simple. It's a book called The Tipping Point. And you don't have to write down. There's other books I need you to have. That's like later down the line. But Tipping Point, it teaches about critical mass. It teaches before something explodes, before your business or your life explodes. And in understanding that, everything about success, let me tell you this, everything about success it really comes down to how great of a copycat you are. That's all it is. How great you can duplicate somebody else. If you're going to come and hear me speak, or if you got a chance to sit down with Oprah, if you got a chance to sit down with Warren Buffett on stocks, if you got a chance to sit down with Donald Trump on real estate, if you got a chance to sit down with, I was going to say Bill Cosby on comedy, but y'all get comedy. Let's talk about comedy. We ain't talking about his personal life. Got a chance to sit down with Bill Cosby on comedy. Then you would want to take all of the nuances. Everybody with me on that so far? You want to take everything that they have and improve upon it. Because what worked in 1800s, worked in 1900s, worked in the 20th century, is going to work in the 21st century. Do not reinvent the wheel. That's all I'm saying. I mean, the things that I say and the things that I do, people are like, oh, that's pretty extraordinary. And I want to talk and I want to share and I want to be able to be as expressive. I just stole it from somebody else. I like to think I was all that in a bag of chips. Well, I do, but y'all know what I say, right? But all you're doing is being the biggest copy, because words that will work. Does everybody follow me on that so far? Words that will work tied to a posture. And I'll give you a prime example because Queen was about to go into language, so you guys understand the power of language. First of all, understand the underlying pavement, the underlying foundation to any great monument comes down to one word. To write this word down, put it in caps, it's called leadership. Everything comes down to leadership. If you're going to build a church, it's going to come down to leadership. If you're going to build a company, it's going to come down to leadership. If you're going to build an organization, it's going to come down to leadership. If you're going to build a congregation, it's going to come down to leadership. If you're going to build a country, it's going to come down to leadership. So even if you take the worst president in the history of 44 presidents, his name was Bush. Okay? The worst president of all time. That's just my subjective opinion. We aren't here for politics. I'm just telling you, I believe it's the worst president in the history of the United States. When our country, when 9/11 happened, he could have easily said, countries just got attacked, and I'm going to take our armed forces. I'm going to take our Navy. I'm going to take our Marines. I'm going to take our Navy SEAL. We're going to go into this country, and I am not going to stop until I find who is responsible for this. I'm going to have a vendetta against bin Laden and anybody else that's a terrorist. He didn't say that. Now look at the distinction. Are you guys following me? Yes?
Yeah.
He didn't say I. He said our country is under attack. Our country has been under siege. It has been treaded upon in so many different facets that what we must do as a nation, one, to protect our country, and two, to defend our country, and to make sure that we as a nation never go through this again, and we must heal as a nation. These are the things we have to do. It's just that one dial, that one distinction over by one that changes the entire dynamic of our listening to why we should. Because if it's I, now it's subjective. Now I'm listening to what you're about to do with my tax dollars. You're speaking for me, and you're taking a whole. Is everybody understanding that conversation? So if I sit down, tell me your name.
Salvador.
So me and Salvador are going to sit down in a one-on-one, and I'm just using this as an example for example purposes. Me and Salvador, when we sit down, I'm saying, look, Salvador, what we can do with this opportunity is amazing. If we collectively put our heads together, created a board of directors, tap into one of the greatest opportunities on the planet to capture the market share of just the Los Angeles basin. I want you to understand the power of us being able to capture 1/10 of one half of 1% and getting paid on every time someone turns on a light switch in just Southern California. How about just in Inglewood? How about just in Long Beach? If we just got 1/10 of one half of 1% of just those in Compton, of every time they turn on a light switch, you and I got paid. Do you like that conversation?
Yes.
That's what we can do. By building a network, utilizing a system that has already been leveraged by many people, our company has already laid a foundation and created documentation, which will always be the conversation. Because I don't want to hear about an opinion or a hypothetical situation. I want to see the documentation. And what we have already done, not just in one nation, but in 24 countries on 4 continents, to truly be able to create millionaire after millionaire after millionaire through this opportunity. 18 to 80, blind, crippling, crazy, black, white, Puerto Rican, Asian. It doesn't matter the persuasion. You just have to have a burning desire. And truly, we take people literally from jail to Yale. You just have to know where you're going. Nobody cares where you came from. They just care that you have a direction, a heart, and that you want to become a business person, and you're going to raise the bar of a system that has already proven itself massively successful for every man, woman, and child that's in this planet. How many people like that conversation? Now that's what you call an enrollment conversation. That's what Queen was talking about in regards to an enrollment conversation. So in the beginning and the canvas of laying a foundation for being able to launch your business, the first thing that you want to do is make sure you always have a digital recorder, and you always want to have a journal. I say it all the time. To put it into ink is truly, in order for you to actually get it, to put it into ink is to think. You have to be able to jot down and take notes. And plus, you always want to be the example. Write this down. You want to be the example that people want to follow. You want to be the example that people want to follow. Now, the information that is being disseminated, the information in which I'm sharing, the information in which I will teach, you may have heard 1,000 times after being in this business 6 months. So you come and it's like, well, I'm not going to write this down because I've already heard 90% of it, but I know I'm still here to learn. But you got 3 brand new guests here with you. And guess what? Your people will do what you do, not what you say. So if I'm sitting there taking notes, guess what they're going to do? They're going to sit there and take notes. Does that make sense?
Yes.
If I come with a digital recorder, guess what they're going to do? They're going to bring a digital recorder. If I come suited for business and I'm dressed appropriately for business, they're going to come suited for business. And even if they don't, they're going to feel uncomfortable if they don't. So it may be their first presentation and they don't know any better. Now training, you can dress casual. You can be comfortable. I like that he's in a tie. I like that people they're dressing up for. But in my training, I want you to be comfortable, casually comfortable. Is everybody with me on that so far? I want you to be raggedy. I want you to be casually comfortable. But when you're doing a presentation, we have to understand that we're impacting somebody else's money. So if I'm coming in with sagging jeans, a hat to the back, earrings in both ears, and he's bringing a multimillionaire sitting there, the first thing he's going to see and digest is me sitting there with my sagging jeans. And I'm like, well, I have nothing to do with him, but you have everything to do with the community and the environment that you're walking into. So we have to lay a foundation that from day one, when I come into this business, I am going to be a leader. That is the one thing that you want to say. And you can write this down, put it in quotes. I am the leader that people want to follow. I am that leader that people want to follow. And that's a whole nother reprogramming of thinking that we go over through a period of time. Does that make sense? Is everybody following me on that so far? My attitude from the time somebody walks in. Imagine you bring a guest and I had a bad day. And let's just say Salvador is your guest. Say, how you doing, Salvador? How you doing? I'm all right, man. Now, that's your guest. I'm the esteemed representative of the Matrix organization. And I just like, I barely looked at him. God forbid you have a man that has a wet handshake. How you doing? He's like, I'm not. I mean, he's already, before he even hears the presentation, that stained his brain. He's just like, and he's a part of this. Are you guys following me? I mean, it's just me not even looking a man in the eye, giving him a weak handshake, and not even being in a great attitude or space to truly have that vibration that I want to be a part of something. He's already like, I don't know what this is. Are you guys following me on that? Yeah. See, it's the little things that move that dial just 1 inch. Most people are one notch away from millions of dollars, and it drives them crazy. Like, well, why am I not getting it? They think it's, well, I've studied everything. I know everything inside and out. I know all the scripts. I go to all the presentations. I go to all the trainings. I say everything they say, but it's your whole demeanor. You can sit up there and say, what's your name? Robin. Robin, I love you. Now, we've been in a relationship for the last 10 years. And she said, you never tell me you love me. I just said I love you. You feel what I'm saying? It's like, really? I'm supposed to hear this? Because they're going to feel what you say, how you walk, how you carry yourself. It's going to come down to your posture. It's going to come down to your attitude. And so in that, people will truly give people a pass on where they are and where they came from, predicated on the attitude alone. Because all of us have gone through hell in some capacity of life or another. Yes or yes? Yes. But if you live there, then it doesn't matter if I give you a new house. You just took all your mess in your old house and brought in and messed up a new house, and it looks just as raggedy. You just took off all your dirty clothes, took a shower, and then went back and put on the same dirty clothes. It's like, well, what do you mean? I'm clean. You still stink. I mean, you got the same clothes. So you got to learn how to alter your attitude. You have to learn how to change your thinking. In order to change your income, your thinking has to change. Because we can all establish and agree that if I make, hypothetically, $50,000 a year, I'm going to use a low number, $50,000 a year. And today, that was yesterday, I made $50,000 a year. Today, let's fast forward in light years, we're now 5 years ahead. I now make $500,000 a year. Would everybody agree that you are a different person to make $500,000 a year than to make $50,000 a year? Oh, yes. Would everybody agree with that conversation? Yes. So in order for me to get to the income bracket that I need and want to get to, I have to become somebody that I'm not right now. I have to create new habits. I have to create new thinking. I have to go and baptize myself, almost submerge myself in a different way, because it's the way I think and the things that are around me that establish who I am today. Is everybody following that? Yes. So we're going down to decide. That was step one that Queen was talking about. Let me break that word down. This is why you bring a digital recorder. If you have a cell phone, you know, you should be able to download an app on your phone of a recorder on your phone in today's society. But I kind of still like to keep them separate. But the power of the word decide is so extraordinary in its own right, because if you break it down, DE comes from the Latin derivative, there which it came from. Side goes along with suicide, genocide, patricide. It means to cut away every other option. Each one of you decided to be here this evening. That means you didn't say, well, I'm going to try and be here. If you did, you didn't say it to me, because you know I would have cut you up. Because you don't try to do something. You're either going to do it or you aren't going to do it. Does that make sense? Yes. You're either going to succeed today or you aren't going to succeed. Period. That's a decision. You may fail forward 11 times, but when you figure out that I'm going to figure out how to bake a cake, it may flop 10, 15 times, but you're going to figure out how to bake that cake. You're going to keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. That's why repetition is the mother of learning. That's why to record these conversations and listen to it, because the devil has 3 best friends. 3 best friends. Who wants to tell me one? Just raise your hand and tell me if you know one of them. Me. Okay. Wow. Oh, Lord, that was good.
Have not heard that one.
Okay. I gotta use that one. That was good. You want to say yes, sir? Fear. So the doubt, fear, and worry are the devil's 3 best friends.
And complacency.
Doubt, fear, and worry. That's a class in itself. We could spend a whole day just talking about those 3 things in themselves. But it's when any one of those three elements or any one of his three friends creep into your life that you start to second guess and your excitement goes into another state. And they come by way of a format, if you will, of the people that are around you when you start to talk about the business. Because see, you'll bring somebody to the presentation and they'll sit there and they already came in negative. Are you guys with me on that? They were already cynical. They were already resistant when you brought them. They're like, and afterwards I'll say, if you guys have any questions, if you have anything that you need answered before you leave, please come and talk to me. And they won't come and talk to me. Because see, the devil's not going to come to he's not going to go to God. He's going to go to his weak links. Is everybody with me on that so far? So when a person first starts in the business, they're like a brand new child. They're like a brand new embryo. They're like a brand new born baby. And what's the first thing you do to a baby when they're born besides slap his behind? You inoculate, because I know that's the first thing y'all went into. You like, you slap his behind. No, you inoculate it so that it's protected against measles, chicken pox. You have to protect your child. That's why many of you that got a chance to talk to me, I said, please don't go talk to anybody until you get a chance to talk to me, so I can make sure you're inoculated, so you're protected, so that you don't get it. So none of those diseases of disease thinking or conversation get into your soul before you get a chance to get 100% of the information. I want you to be the judgment of the information from an objective perspective, not from somebody else's bad experience. So everybody follow me on that so far? Because somebody come and say, well, you know, I'll go just, what's your name there? You're Latin? Yes. So I'll go and I'll say, I'm dating Christy to my best friend Salvador. He's like, Christy who? I'll say, well, Christy da da da. Like she sounds like she's Spanish or Latin. I wouldn't date them. Why wouldn't you date her? Man, I've had such bad experiences with Mexican women and Latin women. Are you guys following that so far? So now I'm listening to somebody who's like, well, what should I be looking out for? Even though I'm not buying it because my emotion side, but it's still in my space. So now my excitement went from here to. So I follow.
What if she's black, half black?
It's not.
Boy.
I'm just using this example. Half black, half Asian, Filipino. Just work with me and all. But does everybody understand what I'm saying? All I'm saying is you don't let anything else get into your space or into your mind about what it is. Because if I talk about stocks, people are going to have an opinion. If I talk about real estate, people are going to have an opinion. If I talk about network marketing, people are going to have an opinion. The blessing in this industry is that it's moved past the homemade, if you will. When Amway was created, that was in the 50s. Then it was specifically made for women at home to give them something to be able to sell home products, whether it was toothpaste. It evolved. It changed by the 60s. It changed by the 70s. By the 80s, it was roaring. 80s were like the roaring 50s, if you want to compare it to history, where everybody, I mean, from drugs all the way to the White House, from real estate all the way. That's where, you're talking about from Mike Milken, who created the junk bond, all the way to real estate, to being able to go up there and flip property. It was fast money in the 80s. Everybody was in a bullish market. Everybody was paid. Is everybody following me on that so far? Yeah. 90s, it started to decline, started crushing everybody by the time you got to the 2000s. It had already started in the 90s. Crashed by 2008. The whole curtain came down. Everybody with me on that? Real estate, crash. Banks, crash. Automobile industry, crashed. Cities, desecrated. Hence, now we're on the rebound of that. And so it's the most prime time for us to be able to insert a plan B that has evolved, just like we've gone from a black and white TV to now a flat screen. Before, when you guys remember a flat screen, wow, they got a flat screen. I mean, they had to be rich. Now you go to Walmart, what'd you get? $400 flat screen. I'll be right. Yep. If you had a TV that had a back today, they'd be looking at you like, God, you must be really broke. You got a big old TV. I mean, the bomb Triniton, Sony TV.
Yes.
Boom.
Yeah, big one.
Flat screen on the front, big back. And you come in, you're like, I just got a brand new TV with a VHS to put in it. Today, you sit up there, you like, and it's got all, it's the best of its kind. And they're looking at you like, what are you doing with that antique? But we used to look at that like rich people get that. Does everybody follow me on that? Yes. The same thing has happened in regards to the industries all across the board with technology and what we're doing with this industry of network marketing. It allows an average person, it's the last bastion of free enterprise that allows an average person to make abnormal money. And here's what's beautiful about it. You only need one ingredient, a burning desire to never listen to anybody else except for your own voice of where you have to go.
Right.
If you ask me what is the one ingredient you would look for in an individual, if you were to recruit somebody and you needed to just take on one person, you had to pick one ingredient. What would that ingredient be, you think? Me? She's like, me, you gonna recruit me, okay.
Hunger.
Hunger. What would you say, bro? What would you say?
Persistence.
Persistence.
Never give up.
Never give up. Besides me.
Little narcissism.
Little narcissism.
Leadership.
Leadership. You're in. You can't answer. The one ingredient that my father taught me that I would take on beyond any other adjective in the world is called a work ethic. You give me someone with a work ethic, I will beat anybody that has talent, anybody that has skills, anybody that has a silver spoon, because I'll outwork any and everybody that's on the plate. I teach my son that all the time. And when he first started playing sports, he said, you know, I said, what do you think Daddy wants from me? He said, you want me to be the best. I said, no, I just need you to do your best. Because if you do your best, I don't have to worry about if you're going to show up as the best. See, listen to people. You got to listen to the words of people. When you talk to somebody and somebody says, well, you know, how do you think well, I did my best. When a person says they did their best, that means they haven't. Does that make sense? Are you guys following that so far? Because when you do your best, you don't have to say anything. It shows up. So that number one thing, starting with that word to decide, is not to decide to do the business. I don't need a person to decide to do the business. I need a person who decides, I'm sorry, I don't need a person to decide to get into the business. I need a person to decide to do the business. Because everything that you're going to learn is going to come from your failures and your mistakes. Over and over. Everything that you've learned today has come from your failures and your mistakes. Does that make sense? Are you guys with me on that so far? And so you have people that come into the business and they say, well, it didn't work. No, they didn't work. They didn't plug into the system. Hence the system. Let's write that word down, system. Give me my coffee back there in the can. It's right there in front of my protein drink, please. System stands for save yourself time, energy, and money. System stands for save yourself time, energy, and money. Thank you. So if we're actually doing a bullet point of the things that we're talking about here, thank you so much. The number one thing is to decide. Everything that you do is just, our whole life is predicated on the decisions we made up until right now. Yes or yes?
Yeah.
Okay. After I make a decision to do the business, not get in the business. Number two, I need to fill out an application. And I'm just giving you a checklist to write it down. So number two is filling out an application. After I fill out an application, number three, the very first action I need to take place, I'm going to get microscopic. You're going to hear variations of this. I'm going a little bit deeper than I normally do for you guys. So you guys follow me? Yes or yes?
Yes.
So I'm actually breaking it down almost by module if I were you sitting here right now. Number three, the third thing I would do is I would actually do what is called a blast call. So write that down, a blast call, B-L-A-S-T, blast, like sandblast, blast call. So I'm gonna use Salvador as an example. Salvador made a decision, he filled out his application, and as soon as possible, I'm gonna think, okay, do you know at least 5 people you know in your head that you would like to be able to share this with, that if they got involved, they could potentially blow it up?
Yes.
Excellent. Then I'm gonna give them a number. Now I'm gonna give you guys my universal number, but ultimately after you hit ETT or in journey up of whoever you're working with, they're gonna help you get your own number. It costs you nothing. But a number that I want you, the reason I'm giving it to you is because I want you to mentally sign up as an SVP today. You aren't signing up as a team trainer. You're gonna act as if. Remember, you have to become a different person. Everybody with me on that so far?
Yes.
So if I'm gonna play basketball, the first thing, I'm gonna look real raggedy trying to dribble with my left hand initially, but if I keep doing it, eventually I'm gonna learn how to dribble with my left hand. So I want you to just act as if consistently. My universal number is 559 726 1200. Again, that's 559 726 1200. The PIN number is 439 412 pound. 439 412 pound. Now, what I would do is I would share with Salvador. I want you to be able to put down, and I want to give you the attributes of what I look for when I bring somebody on my team. Number one, somebody who is a workaholic, like me. But there's two different type of workaholics. Let me teach you something I learned from somebody who was very wealthy and why I work at the level that I work. I found something out about wealthy people. Wealthy people are considered workaholics because they forget that they're working. This isn't work to me. To be able to duplicate myself or have leaders who can pick up the ball like Queen did when being 30 minutes late, because I was at UCLA talking with Miss Johnson, who is an ETL in our organization, who just hit today, by the way, family. So to have her actually already have closed out the UCLA alumni because of this conversation, and then take it to the entire Black Student Union at UCLA and have 60, 70 people in that room that were all between 18 and 21. And to see their eyes light up with the conversation that you guys heard, with a variation of what could happen for individuals between 18 and 25, to be able to graduate with no student loans, to be able to work on a business part-time, to be able to create your own hours and make more than your parents made in 1 year. Literally, what they made literally all year, you're able to make in 1 month. To graduate in 4 years, making well in excess of $250,000 a year. I think that's a good part-time intern.
Yeah.
To develop yourself into a man or a woman and understand how to run a Fortune 500 company at the age of 24. And to be able to have tentacles and have a global business on a universal scale that reaches the depths of the world while you sit right here and work from your laptop. So I said, let's not even look at the product service. I said, how many people you know, who has a Verizon phone? I got a Verizon phone. I got a Verizon phone. Excellent. How much are you paying? $110. Great. If I could cut that in half, give you unlimited text, data, and internet. If we just did that for college students alone, they don't even have to go do gas, electricity. They don't even have to understand merchandise. They don't even have to understand local, long distance. I don't even want them to have all that congestion in their head, because everybody in college got a cell phone. And either mom and dad or themselves are paying for that phone. And to be able to cut that phone bill in half and then sign up everybody in UCLA and then some, and then to create a model that can be used in every UC school system, which is what they're going to do. Do you see how your money can expand beyond just the UC system? Now we've gone into every college. Because I got a friend that I graduated from high school who didn't go to UCLA, who might have went to Dartmouth, who might have went over to San Diego State, who might have went to ASU. Does everybody follow me on that so far? I was like, look, let me tell you what I did over the last 3 months of how I put an extra $5 grand in my pocket. Really? Yeah, I'll pay for the ticket. I'm coming out there to hang out with you for the party on Friday night. Put 10 people in the room. I'm going to have a conversation. Because I developed a 20-year-old to have this conversation. Powerful conversation, yes or yes?
Yes.
Now we get to the parents and the college students. I mean, it's just an amazing way if you think outside the box of what you can do with this business. So number one, I made a decision. Number two, I filled out the application. Number three, I'm doing a blast call. So now what I'm doing is I'm having Salvador write down the attributes or the characteristics of what I'm looking for. I'm looking for someone who has a work ethic. I'm looking for somebody who has, who's a workaholic, more so. I'm looking for somebody who has integrity. I'm looking for somebody who is driven. I'm looking for somebody who is, they have a need. Something has, maybe they need a new car. Maybe they need to help somebody who's ailing. Maybe somebody needs, they couldn't cover all the health or, as far as insurance is concerned with their family. Maybe they have a child in college and maybe they're a single parent and they they're working jobs just to be able to support the family. I'm looking for, write this down, an Achilles heel. I can't help somebody that has no need for help. I can't help someone get in shape that has no desire to get in shape. I can't help somebody, know God that has no need for salvation. And is everybody following me that so far? So I'm not here to change the minds of people. I have a store. I offer food. I only want people coming into my store that are hungry and want the food that I'm offering. So I'm seeking, as far as when I'm out there, I'm marketing to a specific demographic when it comes to building my business. I'm looking for somebody who has an urgency in their life to change something. And that is the operative word, and that is urgency. Not a matter of fact, now this sounds good, now let me see, let me just get in. I need somebody who has somewhere in their life they have to be. And I understand the emotions that come with it, of being scared when you first started in the business. But I'll tell you, I was scared when I started in the business, but I was more scared of being broke for the rest of my life. That's what got me in. I was like, I don't know if this works. I don't have money to lose. I don't have any time to lose. But I'm tired of being broke. I was just so tired of being tired of not having it. I'm sure many of you can relate to this conversation. Does that make sense? Yeah. And here's what I'll give you. Because I was talking to a couple of people. Young lady, what's your name? Don, and a few other people that came in. Here's what I have. Here's what you have the advantage of me being here and working with this family and me being present, as opposed to my team I built in Chicago or New York or where I'm not living. I live here. You guys follow me so far? If you come in and you follow my tutelage and you follow my coaching for 30 days and you make the time, I'm talking about 10, 15 hours throughout the week, carve it out, part-time gig, to employ yourself, hire yourself as the CEO of your own company, and you truly follow my instructions, and you don't make $1,000 back, I will gladly give you the $500 back out of my own pocket. You will never lose a penny working underneath my tutelage. It's impossible. So in most cases, it'll be a risk, but I'm gonna take away your risk. You get started, you sign up, 30 days from the time you sign up, and you do everything that I'm sharing with you, step by step, week by week, and in 4 weeks, you have not positioned yourself and have your money coming back, your money's coming back. That's how clear and that's how sure I am of knowing how to drive a car, how to fly this plane, how to insure your money. Because $500, that's not the issue. It's what a person does to show up. Don't get a membership to the gym, not show up for 30 days though, and then come back and say, I still look the same. Where my $500? Are you guys with me on that so far? Okay. So we got decision, blast call. What we're talking about is work ethic, integrity, business mindset, someone who's driven. I like someone who has a big personality. They don't have to. Not any one of these is a necessity. If you find somebody with one of these characteristics, you can win. 2, you're definitely winning. 3, you're over the top. Are you guys following me on that so far? But a work ethic, a burning desire, workaholic, business mindset. They always want to own their own business. A person with a huge personality. Somebody who truly, it's just, the party doesn't start till they show up. Does that make sense to everybody? Because that's a person who genuinely has no fear and could care less what other people think. That gives them an edge against everybody else, because that's what knocks most people out of the water before they start, is how people think about what they're saying, what they're doing. My whole opinion about the business was, if you aren't going to pay my bills, we really have nothing else to talk about. I don't need to hear your opinion. Because people come and tell you, well, my mama, or I did this, or it sounds good, or you offer them opportunity. Everybody want to talk about it. You didn't talk about it before. And my thinking is this: if you aren't going to give me an alternative, why are you telling me what won't work? Just tell me you won't work. Does that make sense? Now, if you're going to pay all my bills and build my lifestyle and give me the cars and the house and the lifestyle that I want, I'll listen to you talk all day. I'm like, yeah, you're right. That thing is, it's bogus, I know. Drive up the Bentley, sir? Yep. Are you guys with me in understanding the thought process? Yes. But you have to get a deaf ear. A person that's going to the Olympics can't listen. And if you will all get an email from me at some point. At the bottom of my email, I've had it for over 25 years. It says the exact same thing. If you're going to have beautiful music and you're going to be the one who orchestrates that music as a conductor, you must turn your back to the crowd. That makes sense. If you're going to orchestrate amazing music, if you're going to create a symphony and sound like nobody's ever seen or heard before, if you're going to be the conductor to design the life that you want, the most amazing life that nobody else has to believe, And your dream is not subject to anybody's opinion but your own. But if you are truly sold out on creating and designing that life, to be that conductor, you must turn your back to the crowd. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Okay. So that blast call, now that I give Salvador the characteristics of what I'm looking for, he's now able to say, you know what, Joe would be a bomb at this. See, if he got it, I don't know that he's going to get it. See, I can see something that you can't see. I can talk to people that you can't talk to. I test people all the time around the world when I travel, as I go to Australia, New Zealand, and everywhere else. And I'll say, how many people in here have somebody in their phone that they know if they got in, they would become a senior vice president, but they will never do this type of business? Are you guys following me on that so far? I ask that all the time. You got somebody in your phone that will probably, they will never do, in their head, they're saying, I will never do this business. How many people have somebody like that you think like in your phone right now? They'll never do this business, but if they did get in, they go SVP, right? So here's what I'm going to say to you. Give me their name and number. Let me talk to them. Let me prove to you that they're going to come into the business. But there's a catch. They are going to come into your business. They're going to come into mine. I'm going to put them where I want to put them. I'm not putting them in your business. Why? Because you have already decided that they will never do the business. Did everybody catch that?
Yeah.
Because see, the very person, my peers, the people that work at the level that I work at, the people that operate at the level that I operate at, the people that are in my mindset, that are my equals, if I don't get them, they will. Because we have nobody. There's nobody. I don't believe there's a soul you can put in front of me that I can't crush. I'm crushing billionaires. I would have never thought I'm talking to billionaires. I have multi-millionaires. Now, when I started where you were, I couldn't see it either. I'm like, how do I talk to them? What the hell am I supposed to say to somebody who got $100 million in the bank account? Today, I'm like, oh, you only got $100 million? Let me show you something. Let's have a conversation. You follow what I'm saying? That's okay. Because when I first bought my first, I'll never forget when I had my mentor and we first went out and we went to go buy some shoes. He said, now you need to get some cufflink shirts. So I went to Neiman Marcus, got my first cufflink shirt. And it was only $35. I didn't get the custom shirts I have now. But I had, I wanted to upgrade, right? I need to change my thinking. I need to change my dress. And I was like, at the time, I'm like, $35, $40. Plus, I have to pay another $15, $20 for the cuff. It started adding up, right? I'm like, exactly, right? Like getting up to about $100 for a shirt. I was like, I could go get this at Walmart. Won't have no cufflinks, but I'll look good. And so then he took me to get when I hit TC, team coordinator, which I'll break that down, I went to go buy my first pair of gaiters. You can tell I had a black mentor. He's like, go get some gators. I got some gators. And I felt good. I look at, but I'll never forget. It was, I believe at the time I was paying, it was like $400, $500. I talked him down from $600 to $400 downtown. I had never paid $400 for a pair of shoes in my life. Now, women, y'all probably could get used to doing it because y'all shop. But guys, you in your 20s and you got to come off $400 for a pair of shoes. You feel me? Right? Right? And that 400 was like this. Just hold out your hand, somebody. I was like this. He's the teller. Hold down. I was like this with the money. My whole heart was like, I let go. $400 for some shoes. I was like, but I could do it $400. I never thought about buying no $400 shoes in my life. But after I got them, I felt good about it. And I was like, okay. You walk out like you walked in heaven, right? It's like you want everybody to see. You pay $400 for some shoes. You want everybody to see them. See my shoe? See my shoe? See my shoe? Everybody, see my shoe? I walk around, right? So I was like clowning. And I was just like, wow. And then when I went to get my second pair, I was like, good. Third time, fourth time, fifth time. Because you grow into everything you've ever done in your life. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes. And so with that came, and by the fifth time, I knew not to buy gators anymore because at the time I was building my organization in D.C., New York, and Philly. If anybody that's a man knows how to have gators on in the snow, I was still looking good. I was slipping in the skin shrinks up on your foot. I'm sitting up here walking with some bricks like, see my shoe? See my shoe? See my shoe? Then I got a chance to start traveling abroad, and I started going to different places. And I got a chance to stay in Italy. I went to visit one time with my brother, and then I was like, oh, I'm going to be here for a long time. And you get a chance to start understanding the stitch in certain pieces of clothing. You start to understand certain shoes. Like I had the same feeling about the gators because I'm still growing, right? Even now, I'm still growing. Does everybody follow me on that so far? And I bought my first pair of Ferragamos.
Yeah.
And I had the same feeling when I had to cough up $2,700. I felt like I went back in time. I'm like, $2,700 for some shoes.
I had to take a drink for that one.
$2,700 for some shoes. I was like, who is this Ferragamo guy? I need to meet him. He's pimping a whole lot of people. Remember, I'm from the hood. I'm like, somebody getting pimped.
Oh, man.
He's just hoodwinking fools up in here. But I tell you, as opposed to the gators, when you put Ferragamos on your feet, oh, it's so ridiculous. I'll trade in 3 wives. Ferragamos make love to your feet. Ferragamos, you put those shoes on, you walking like. And when I first got them, I was like, they look just like hush puppies because they were suede. I was like, why can't I just get some hush puppies? And I put them on. And I'm telling you, when you start to understand what you invest in, and there's a point to all this. I learned how to invest in myself. That first 500 that I had to scrape up for was not I paid to get into something, but I paid to own a business. When I started buying the shoes, when I started buying the suits, I started investing in myself. I understood the distinction of people that had corns on their feet and people that never had corns on their feet because of wearing shoes. I used to wear shoes from Sears or J.C. Penney's or get shoes that, oh, okay, that it looks good. I need the lower one, and how those you go through those shoes so quickly.
Yep.
And how they're hard on your feet. And how they don't conform to your feet. That's why they're just, you put them on, everybody buys them because that's why it's a low price, because I can make them in mass quantity. You are making Ferragamos in mass quantity. They're done by hand. It's the distinction of going to get some luggage. So I went looking for some new luggage, and I was talking the same thing. I'm back in that space again. I'm back. I'm still growing like that. Because I went and a gift to myself. I said, I'm traveling all the time. I really, I started at Brookstone because I love their luggage. And then I said, I need to upgrade because I just want to have something that represents me. So right now I'm shopping and I started looking for my luggage and I'm looking at Toomey. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Toomey. Now Toomey starts at like $1,500. And so I'm talking to my mentor. And I'm telling my mentor, I'm like, I'm challenged, man. He's like, well, what? I said, I want to get this luggage, but I'm just, what I can do with $1,500. Back to that thought. He said, man, go pay it. It's not like you only got $1,500. I was like, yeah, but I could help, so many people. There's so much I could do with the office. So many people I could help with, myself. I mean, a good meal, seafood. That's, a couple of, you can do a whole lot with that, right? And so I'm sitting up there like, okay. He said, man, that's not even growth. I mean, $1,500 for one bag, a set, $6 grand, that's not growth. I said, what do you mean that's not growth? It's growth for me. I've never paid $1,500 for a bag. He said, let me show you growth. And he took me into his closet. And I go into his closet. And I'm looking. And I never put a price tag to it until my partner, Jamila, and we were talking, because I just have people around me, right? And I never put a price tag to it. And he takes me in and he pulls out his bags. And they look like regular bags. I'm like, but they're nice. I mean, don't get it wrong, they're nice. And I'm looking at it, he said, that's when you're gonna have a mental stretch, when you get my bags. I said, well, I like your bags. Well, I'll just get your bags. He said, you really want my bags? I said, yeah. Pull it up on the screen. It's called Hermes.
Yeah.
$125,000 for one bag.
It rolls itself, don't it?
80,000 for a purse. Comes with a locator. It made me understand how small I really was in my thinking. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? So the decisions that we make to be able to activate our growth process in doing a business, as opposed to what we've done over the last year, the last 2 years, the last 3 years, the decision to truly fall in love and become obsessed with becoming, because this, when we say this is a self-development program with an incredible compensation plan, it really is. You can make a good living, you know, doing whatever you want. You can do it being a doctor, you can do it being a makeup artist, you can do it being an actor, but to get to a life where you have time and money, and you aren't on call or a slave to somebody else, that you can pick and choose whatever projects you want, pick and choose whoever you want to work with, be able to do like many of my family got a chance to meet Mike Basutti, be able to go in, kill himself. I mean, and people, what he did is what I'm doing now, which is killing myself in a positive way. But I mean, I'm working like insatiably. I'm in overdrive right now. I'm in straight overdrive. Does that make sense? Most people will look at you and say, I can never do what you do. You'll never have what I have. But when you understand the end result, see, working in a job, I worked just as hard, but it just kept diminishing as far as my work because I couldn't see an end in mind. It's like this was just ongoing. There was no end. I had to keep doing it to have just enough. And I was like, that's crazy. When you wake up and you feel that, is everybody getting that and understand? And I saw where before Mike, which I trained him, and before him was me, and then before me was somebody else who led as I'm before you, and shared with me. I saw a guy do the same thing and what Mike just did, bust his tail for 3 years, no sleep, no rest, bags under his eyes, going from city to city, driving. He'll go out and do a presentation for you way out in Selmar. He'll come back and do a presentation for you way down in Southgate, then come do a presentation for you way down in San Diego. The next day, 3 days in a row. Go down, you only have 3 people. He may have 10, he may have 20. You don't know what a person's gonna show up with. She may have nobody, and you're like, holy, I just drove 2 hours one way, and you ain't got nobody here. I did my best. She's brand new, she don't know any better. Her upline didn't train her, didn't coach her, nobody helped her. So she just did to the best of her ability. You don't know her confidence level. Is everybody following me on that so far? And so you're going through all this, but then I saw after 3 years, him take 4 years off. So Mike took 4 years off. Looking like, and if you see him, you guys get a chance to meet Mike, the rest of the family knows. He looks like he walked straight out of a cave. Yes or yes, fam?
Yes.
He looks like he has a Jesus complex with a bum tied to it.
Yes.
That's what he looks like. Hair is falling, right? Isn't that about right? You look, yeah, exactly. Exactly. Hair all down, Jesus, I mean, and just look like he's just been eating way too good. Like a rich, fat bum with a Jesus complex. This is the craziest look you ever see.
Mountain man.
But he has pets. His pets are wolves. He goes hunting. He has a palatial mountain house. He has a summer house, a winter house. He married the dream of his life at 39 years old. His wife that he married is 19 years old, #1 model at Victoria's Secrets. They just had a baby, had the most amazing life, never had a challenge, no breakup, no dysfunction. She has an evolved mind where she runs the business. He's a big kid, but he knows how to make money. Great yin and yang. God can never tell you who's for you. Is everybody following me on that? And to be able to have a life where you spend 4 years. I mean, he didn't go on a honeymoon. He went on a 4-year honeymoon. For 4 years, that's all we're going to do is grow into each other and just enjoy life. Just came back about 8 months ago, and in less than 5 months, is #1 in the world again, in the top 10. Because once somebody teaches you how to tie your shoe, you never need anybody else to show you how to do it. It may be very difficult for your first week, maybe your first month. It may even take you 2 years or 3 years in this business. But once you learn how to make money with this vehicle, you'll never work for anybody ever again in your life, because you know that you can turn it on at will. You can be dropped off on any planet, in any country, anywhere, and make as much as you want or as little as you want, and take as much time to do it, that you can collapse time frames. That I could take one person and truly take that person and take that one person, bless him, and put literally in his first month, put a minimum of 5 to 7 grand in his pocket. By his third month, have him at 20 grand a month. Because he's me, I'm doing the work. All I need is a true leader that's gonna show up and learn every aspect of the game. Does that make sense, everybody?
Yes, sir.
So he's able to take advantage of 20 years of knowledge and just be Beethoven sitting there. Okay, I'm gonna do this with him. Now I need you to do it. Do just half of it. Okay, I'm gonna do the rest. Now watch what I do with this other half. Okay, let's go back and forth. Now you do the first half. I'm gonna do the second half. Let me coach you on what you just did wrong. We did that for literally 6 months. 6 months, you're off to an extra 25,000 a month. And now you're a leader in the beginning of your career. And I'm going back to my beach house. And your money just keeps growing and growing and growing because he has a whole 3-year tenure in him to go build a whole organization. And how do you raise somebody's belief? Get them a check. Write that down. How do I raise somebody else's belief? Write that down. Get them a check. You always want to remember that. If you ever want to raise the belief of anybody else around you, people that are naysayers, people that don't believe, people that have questions, people that sit there and say, it sounds too good to be true, I don't believe this works, go get a check, come back a week later, I don't know what you believe now, I don't really care what you believe, don't get in my business. In fact, I don't even want you in my business, go get somebody else. Because for the creed of an entrepreneur, you are not working on a salary, you are not working on an hourly. You kill and eat what you do on a daily basis. You want a belief system? I can show you my money, my son's money, and everybody else's money I've made. But guess what? And I'll show you some tonight. The reality of it is you still can't cash it.
Can't spend it.
So even if a person says I don't believe, and even if I show them to make them to believe, it still won't matter because they don't believe it for themselves. You have to believe for yourself what your self-worth is. You got to understand and believe that when I worked a job, I'm probably, because see, I had this whole slogan for myself. 10 years ago, I wrote it. They said, well, Byron, I was doing some interview. I said, what do you want to happen for your life? How do you see your life manifesting? I said, I see myself as the Pied Piper. They said, what do you mean? I said, I see myself showing up in New York's time, LA time. 6'3.5", tall black man, bald head, walks into a city. And 100 people walk off their job 6 months later. Where'd they go? Home. They just went home. That I become one of the greatest forces for unemployment in this country from working in the job force. To give people that belief system that they know, not that I give them a fish, but I teach them how to fish. And when I got this information from someone who taught me, he said, your now responsibility is to teach someone else. He said, but there's a catch. You have to teach somebody who really wants to learn how to fish. Otherwise, you'll be building and planting seeds on thorny ground. You have to believe before you come to the table. You guys have heard you can take a horse to water, but you can't make him drink?
Yep.
Here's my theory. Find 5 thirsty horses. You don't have to take them anywhere. They're already looking. You don't have to. I was already thirsty before I came into this game. I was already hungry before I came into this game. I was already a fighter before I came into this game. I already knew how to fight, get up. I already knew how to work. I already had bloodshot eyes. I already knew how to stay up all night and get up early in the morning and do whatever I had to do. I was having this conversation with my mother today because she wants me to have a conversation with my son, because we now live in this technological world of really, where you have a different mindset. Back then you grew up and you learned how to build things. Today people are playing on games. Another conversation. But my mother reminded me, she was just like, you have to have a conversation with your son because he's going to catch it, but it's a matter of when he's going to catch it, because you, Byron, and and you forget these things. I was working when I was literally in 4th, 5th grade. By 8th grade, I was looking for my own job. I wanted my own. When I was 8, even though I had a good family And they had they gave me everything I needed. I mean, I came from, as far as, in comparison, I came from a really good family. But I never wanted, I wanted my own. Does that make sense to anybody? I've always had a job. I never had a problem being able to go and work. And so it's a matter of working on your own terms. That's the key, is when you're working to build something that you own, that you can actually have pride in. I couldn't have a pride in a job. Every time I had a job, I got good jobs. I mean, I was the one who can manipulate and manufacture resumes. I could sell myself into any job. If it had the right price, I was getting the job.
Okay.
I didn't even have to know anything about it. I would create degrees. You're like, we've never seen a degree like this. And you never will. But what this degree does is it dictates that I can do what you're asking me to do in this job. And I can promise you, you will never find anybody else that will work as I will work in this job. And I would learn things that I never learned in job descriptions and stuff. Is everybody following me on that so far? Because they bought my personality. I learned how to sell myself early. And after 3 to 6 months, I started working jobs. I'm trying to think of the longest time I had a job.
Wow.
I know, right? Maybe 3 years. Maybe. I can never keep a job past 3 years. And I'll tell you why. I would look around, because I'm a weird thinker, like y'all. Y'all weird, by the way. The only way you can be here, because I believe in the law of attraction. Law of attraction, there's something in me that's in you, otherwise you wouldn't be here tonight. That's right. Everybody with me on that so far? Yes, sir. But I would look around at a job, and I'll tell you how I would think. I would look at people that were twice my age, that had maybe 1 or 2 positions higher than me. And I would start asking myself, I'm 26. You're 46. I don't want to look like that. Can anybody relate to that conversation? Yes. I don't want to be you. And they'd be selling you on taking pride in your company and we own this and you got to own that and and no. You look, I mean, I saw people at 35 that looked like they were 50.
Yep.
Stressed. Exactly. I mean, I was like, I don't want that. I don't want that type of responsibility and that title and that money and you don't get any, and I'm seeing work on weekends and work after and holidays, and they have to take on days off they were working so they could get time and a half. And I was like, that's just to catch up. That's not even to get ahead.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? I'm giving up my holidays not to get up, but to just catch up to where I was supposed to get when I got my first salary. And I was just like, I just, So you're telling me I make $40,000 a year. This was at 23. I make $40,000 a year in the first real job I had. You make $65,000 a year. You're almost twice my age. The most I have to look forward to in the next 20 years is a $20,000 raise. That's not even $1,000 a year. That's like $500 a year. And if you work a job, they're telling you, especially in the education system, because I was part of SRDLP, which is Secondary Reading, Language, and Development. I helped create different things. My father was in LAUSD, so I'm looking at people around me in that industry, and I'm sitting up there like, this is just not happening. This is not the code for a pension, for a retirement fund that doesn't even exist today.
That's right.
Oh. Yeah.
I got to fight the kids, the parents, and the bureaucracies of the system. And one fight is bad enough, but all 3 of y'all? I did that in the streets. I got to do that in corporate America too?
Yes.
I was like, I'm good. Is this resonating with anybody?
Yes.
Is anybody getting this conversation? So it's really a matter of just a wake-up call of what I go back to. I actually go home. Home for me is Chicago and St. Louis. I go at least twice a year. If you guys ever been there, if you know what Detroit is about, I go there to see people and not to see how bad people are living. That's not what I go for, but to see the faces. If you go into certain places and see the faces of how life has beat up, People. I mean, what's hard about this business? I go and say, Salvador, do you want to save some money? He says, no. Oh my God, my cousin won't even save no money. You know, I go to, you know, Bill and say, would you like to make some money? No, it's a pyramid. Oh my God, I told you this was one of them things. I mean, whose lie are you going to buy? Corporate America? The education system? The promise of a job security? Your friends that are not living the life that you want? See, I looked at it and said, this may be a lie. This guy in front of me, this black guy in front of me, which was a black guy in front of me, just like the black guy in front of you, talking about all this potential, all this money, all this stuff going on, he may be lying. But I have to look at it. I have my friends tell me it's a pyramid, and I have him telling me that you could be rich. If I'm going to buy a lie and fall forward,
I know, right?
does that make sense? I apologize so far. Because somebody is lying. They both may be lying. But if I am going to buy a lie, I'm going to Does everybody get that so far?
Yeah.
So I just need to understand the system. So let's go through this. Number one, well, let's open this up. Let's go through this. I want to go through this. We ready, Cheryl? Where's Cheryl? We got this? I don't know. She's on the other side. This good, baby? What you doing? I'm like, what you building a tent? So get the one on the right side, you guys. Go right ahead. If you guys have to use the restroom or whatever, go ahead. In fact, do this. Let's do this. Before we get into this, what time is it? 9 o'clock? So I have a good hour and 30 minutes. So let's do this.
Yeah, 2 hours.
No, I actually said till 9:30. We started late, so I'm going to 9:30 solid, or 10:30 solid. So I'm going a little bit over. Well, maybe not. No, I'm kidding.
Quarter ran out.
Jack. Queen, you got it unlocked? Yes, he does. That's family right there. He knows. So let's do this. I want you guys to be fresh to get this, so we could go through a solid hour, and I give you everything you need to be able to launch. Everybody with me, yes?
Yes.
I want you to meet 3 people. I want you guys to take literally in 10 minutes. I need you back in your seat. 10 minutes. But if you got to use the bathroom, if you just want to get some air, if you want to do a pirouette, if you need to make a phone call, whatever, I want you to meet 3 people that are in this group and find out, why are you doing this business? And don't give them, listen to me, what are you doing back there? You're interrupting me. Why are you looking behind you? No. Yes, you. They're new. They're new. Who you're talking to? Yes. I'm going to help you with that. I got you. What you need, girl? I'm going to help her do that too. Okay. So stick with me. We're going to take a 10-minute break. I want you to talk to 3 people, and I want you to find out their why. Now, what I don't want you to do is give the Miss America answer. Well, I'm doing it because I just want to make some money. No, there's a real deep-seated why as to why you're sitting here. Does that make sense? That existed before you came here. If I needed to do something for my mom who's sick, if I needed to be able to get out of my place where I'm living, if I need a new car that keeps breaking down, whatever it is that I need to do, I need to change where I live because they're shooting outside my house. I don't care what it is. You need to be transparent, because if you don't reach the heart, your business will never start. And if you can build upon why you're doing this and it's real, I can tell you how to create a future out of that. But if you're you're trying to be defensive and you're trying to give the intelligent answer and it sounds foo-foo, I just want to get rich, I'm going to make $1 million. All that crap, throw it out the window, because your people know who you are. Right. Does that make sense? Yes. Your warm market, the people in your life, they know where you are, where you're from. So it's going to be, if you can't do it here, you definitely aren't going to be able to do it there. Does that make sense? Yes. So 10 minutes, meet 3 people on the break, use the bathroom, make whatever calls you need, be back in your seat at 9:15. Thank you. I work for Claps, by the way. Yeah.